questions. So let me take the first one. What's the catalyst for doing that assessment? Assuming nothing happens, like you don't lose your job or whatever. How do you just stop all of it and say, am I really doing the right thing? So it's a couple of things. One requirement I would say is be curious, right? You can be very focused on your job and your role, but also be aware of what's happening within the organization in the wider context. So the macro forces, understand what's happening within the sector, because once you start looking at that, and there's so many opportunities for doing it. I mean, sometimes you're eating lunch at your desk, right? And you can say, oh, I don't know if you're in insurance, there's probably an association or a global association, and they talk about trends and insights and what's happening if you're in tech, you probably read a magazine or a site like TechCrunch that talks about, startups and what's happening around the world and what people are doing. So be interested, and it takes a bit of your time every day, but it doesn't have to be completely separate from what you've been doing. So there's a lot of curiosity on your part that is required because then that starts to connect some dots in your head and say, oh, someone is doing this. Oh, you know what? I remember when I thought that might be cool. I wonder how and then you start to follow up, start to read more about it. But it really takes some action, and that's the whole point. I mean, nothing, I think, brings it home more to me than, when you read the Quran and it says, those who believe, and then it's almost always followed by and do good deeds, right? So action, it's not just the faith, and it's not just, I think I might like to do this, but taking action, and that's the whole point. And the action doesn't have to be something big. So it's just curiosity, what's happening around me, what's the context, because that helps you to understand. The other part, for those of us who are in a corporate environment, I always say this: even if your company doesn't have a formal mentorship program, get a mentor. Someone who's a few steps, a few levels above you, not your boss, because you can't be honest with your boss, no matter how close you are. So someone, and maybe preferably in a different area of the organization, but at a high enough level that they see different perspectives of the organization, they have a better understanding of the organization strategy, etc., etc. Because then you connect with them often. And I've never seen a situation where you go up to someone and you say, I've been admiring you from afar. I've, seen some of the presentations that you've done, or the work that you've done, or the work your function or your organization is doing, and I would really like to learn more from you. Can we engage in a mentoring thing? But you have to be clear on what your objectives are. People, they might say, I don't have a lot of time, so you say, okay, maybe once a quarter we connect or this. But people generally are generous with their time and their skills and their capabilities if you ask them in the right way. So please get a mentor within the organization, preferably. Everyone should have a mentor in their organization. This is something I didn't do at the beginning, but I realized that a lot of the opportunities I was given were by people who maybe had seen me, weren't formal mentors to me, but just say, you know what, you go do it. So it helps because they can then help to translate some of the things that you're seeing. They can help to provide perspective on where the organization is going and the changes that it's making, so that you can better position and you can start thinking. Because don't forget, this transition is not necessarily about outside of your environment. Also, join, so LinkedIn has made it so easy. You have different LinkedIn groups that you can join, and you get a lot of things from them. So this is what's trending within the sector. This is what's happening in this area. It's just that curiosity. It starts with the curiosity on your part to say, I just want to learn or know a little bit more about what's going on, and being able to do that. And it doesn't have to be involved. You don't have to take time off to go and do it.